Hello everyone, and welcome back for this edition of the ASMG Back Pass. For those that don't know, this podcast is a surface level review and hot takes from the past week's games in the UPSL Georgia Premier Division. This podcast is brought to you by Ballistic Sportswear, who is one of the leading providers for match playing kits in the UPSL across the nation. And also, Images Frozen in Time Photography, who are a full service photographic service and is also a partner with the ASMG and brings us much of the match photography and video editing resources you see here at ASMG. So just as a side note, we're adding more features to this program, and it will continue to be a companion to our relaunch of the Center Circle podcast, which we do with Larry Weaver, Massimo Ballou, and myself. That will include highlight reviews, exclusive interviews, and much, much more. But for now, we want to get back into the week 2 of the Premier Division here in Georgia, as the competition is already taking shape. And we'll want to look at Zone 1 first of all, as we get into the games from this past weekend. And the first game on tap was FC Columbus Elite hosting Georgia Revolution FC. Georgia Revolution, this was their first game of the season. They had a bye the first weekend, so this is the first opportunity they've had to get into the action in the Premier Division, and they've done it in a winning fashion in a close match with FC Columbus away down there at Otis Spencer Stadium in Columbus, Georgia. And it was a 4-3 decision. FC Columbus improved over the first week when they lost 5-0. Doing a little bit better with the hat trick from Braden Wood to get it close, but not quite enough against one of the contenders, I think, for the division title. But Georgia Revolution doing just enough to get that away win, a very valuable 3 points, with other teams having a head start on them. So improved performance from FC Columbus, good win for Georgia Revolution, and they kicked off our weekend of action in the Zone 1 of the Georgia Premier Division. And getting down to the second game of the weekend, we had Pachuca, Georgia, who were hosting Athletico Buford SC. And Athletico Buford, of course, having a barnstorming start to the season with a 8-3 demolition of the defending champions in the Georgia Conference, Kalonji per profile. Really showed that they came and meant business. This is a promoted team, a manually promoted team, a team that lost in the Division I final to Scenic City last season, but with that playoff is what determines who goes on to the Premier Division after winning their respective groups in Division I. And of course they went up against Scenic City, lost that match, and could have remained in Division I had it not been for the realignment and expansion in Premier, which allowed more teams in. Athletico Buford, being one of the top two teams in Division I, earned their right for that manual promotion, and they've taken full advantage of it so far. Perfect on the season with 2-0. Perfect 6 points out of 6 to start the season. Pachuca, Georgia, falling in a narrow defeat for them, but Pachuca is going to be one to keep an eye on as well. Very talented squad, well coached, and we'll see how that goes. But Athletico Buford really turning heads right now, and we'll have to see if they can continue that fine form in the coming weeks as the season continues. So a really good victory for Athletico Buford, and we'll see where they are in the league table after we go over these results here. But the final game in the Zone 1 of the Premier Division with Kalonji per profile defeating Georgia Athletic. This was their home opener for Kalonji. 6-2, a very commanding victory when it didn't seem that way when the game started. The first 20 minutes belonged to Georgia Athletic. They went up 2-0 in that game. Looked like they were really going to challenge for the full 3 points in this match. But something woke up Kalonji per profile. They came back with a couple of goals in the first half, including one worldie from Kareem Tamimi, which is featured on our top goals of the week, if you catch that on our YouTube channel. And of course, in the second half, we had Grant Carr being red carded, his second yellow for a challenge, just a few seconds into the second half. But that seemed to wake Kalonji up, and they went on to score a further 4 more goals, down to 10 men, and including a hat trick from Thierry Jules, who's back in the side, a prolific scorer. And that's going to be key for them, I think, depending on if the younger players like Kalen Kalonji and others can return. They are playing in MLS Next, and with so many different competitions that they're in, I think that is going to be a major factor whether or not Pro Profile can challenge for the division to defend their division title this season in the regular season, because they have to split their talent into multiple teams. So that really hurt them, I believe, last week against Atletico Buford. But also, there seemed to be a little bit of lack of focus on that team. Even going into the second team in the second game against Georgia Athletic, once they turned their attention to the game, they really ran away with it. But will they be able to maintain that throughout the season? Will they get their younger talent, really the future of this team, back in during the season? Only time will tell. But there's a lot of competition in this division, and they really can't take a weekend off again like they did last week, because teams like Atletico and others will take full advantage of that, because every team in the Premier Division has some talent, and they're going to have to watch out for that. But that was the last game in the Zone 1 of the Premier Division. We'll go on to Zone 2, and we'll start with another emphatic victory here. This is another great victory from Portoros FC, 7-1 over FC Birmingham. This is a game away to Carver High School field there, and it's a bit of a worry for, I think, FC Birmingham. They had a game won last week against Scenic City, but gave up a goal late to Scenic City to share the points there, showing a little bit of shakiness. And really, Portoros exposed them a little bit in this game, scoring the way they did. But Portoros, I think, just from looking the first 2 games, the way that they've won these games, first against North Georgia and now against FC Birmingham, rather emphatically, they seem to be the informed team, the team with the most focus, the team to beat. I think that Portoros is going to be your favorite for the division title, as well as maybe returning to the playoffs. These are the playoff champions, and there's nothing really showing that they're not going to be in the mix again at the very end of the season. So it's going to be intriguing to see how they go about this season. Will they have a dip in form? Will Nazario Mbamio continue his fine form? He had a hat trick this week. He just can't stop scoring goals. Pedro Lima with a brace, as well as Kwesi Paul with a goal to add on for Portoros. Michael Brew, who was a great attacking player for FC Birmingham last season, was on the score sheet for FC Birmingham. But again, FC Birmingham, another team that benefited from the expansion and the realignment. This is a team that ended in the relegation zone last season. And so with the expansion and more room given to new teams coming in, and we had a couple of teams that did drop out, including Atlanta Fire and UMA FC, although UMA FC does have a team in Division 1. They're going to be back next season, it looks like. And so they were offered to stay, although they were in the relegation spaces. They took it. And so they're going to have to try to do something with that. They've got 1 point from 6 so far. And this is going to be a heavy loss for them. But, you can't really complain too much against the best team right now in the Premier Division, that being Portoros FC. So exciting stuff to see. Big games coming up this weekend for both of these teams, and we'll see how they can go about doing something about their own destiny in this division. And of course, the last game that we had on tap, Soccer Saves Lives, with a 6-1 surprise victory over Dalton United. Again, Dalton United, another team where this was their first game. They didn't have a bye the first weekend. However, their game against Atlanta United, which was going to be their home opener, was postponed. And so this was their first outing out. Soccer Saves Lives, of course, opened their season last weekend with a defeat. But this week they had, much like Kalonji per profile, a lot of their first line players back, including Jaden Workman, who was just a workhorse out there, and Costa, who scored a brace. Just a commanding performance for them. Dalton United, much like Kalonji profile last week, and Soccer Saves Lives for that matter, last weekend, not a lot of their stars. And that was an issue for them last season too. And the away days, they didn't have a lot of their top players that traveled. And so they played at home, they had a good home record, but on the road, they were a little bit suspect. And it looks like that pattern's continuing this week. But do not count Dalton United out. They have a lot of talent on tap. Yip Van Essen did get on the scoreboard there. Hopefully he'll be able to be available for most of the games. He has had double duty with the college responsibilities last season, but he's a potent threat for Dalton United. But a poor start to the season away to Shiloh Stadium there, but a great start for Soccer Saves Lives as they get their first victory of the season, 6-1 in a thoroughly entertaining game from their point of view. But Dalton United, they'll just have to rebound, and I suspect they have the experience and the coaching to do that. So we'll see how that goes. So let's take a look at how this maps out for the different league tables here, division tables here in the Georgia Premier. We're going to look first, of course, here at zone number 1. Atletico Buford tops the table at 6 points, 6 out of 6 for a perfect start to the season. And Georgia Athletic, along with Georgia Revolution and Kalonji per profile, each with 3 points. Of course, it's so early to know what's going on as far as the top teams there, but just understand that the top 4 teams will qualify for the division playoffs. And so that those are the spots is your first goal is to be in one of those 4 spots by the end of the season, because the division playoffs are what determine who goes on to the national playoff picture. And so the top 2 teams here will be the top seeds going into the playoffs, and it'll be bracketed this season. So it'll be very exciting, sort of like the NCAA tournament when you get to that point. But right now, it's too early to tell. Everybody has a shot from top to bottom. And so as we get down to Georgia Impact, who are they, as well as Pachuca, Georgia, on 1 point, and FC Columbus Elite so far to get a point out of the season in zone 1. So that's where it's mapped out there. Zone 2, Potros FC in commanding performance so far this season. 2 fantastic victories for them to get 6 out of 6 for themselves, matching Atletico Buford in zone 1. LSA Norcross Pro with 3 points, along with Soccer Saves Lives and Scenic City in the top half of the table. FC Birmingham, despite the heavy defeat this weekend, still in the mid-table because of the draw that they had against Scenic City to start the season. Atlanta United Academy have not played a game yet, but they do have a game scheduled this Sunday against North Georgia United FC. That game will be played on Sunday at the Atlanta United Training Academy. And we'll have to see what they're going to bring to the table here. You would think with the name, of course, they're going to be automatic favorites to challenge. But they have a tougher road than maybe they're thinking about here. There's some strong teams there, including Dalton United, who are rock bottom right now with that disappointing display this past weekend. But again, like I said before, not a lot of their top line players were in play there. Much like the situation with SSL and Kalonji the previous week, I would expect to see them crawl up the table in the coming weeks, and we'll have to see how that goes. But a lot to see on tap for both of these divisions. Again, it's just going to be very, very tight. And to repeat, top 4 teams make the playoffs in each of the divisions. The division playoffs will be mixed. So, these teams will play each other. Zone 1 teams will play Zone 2 teams in the playoffs. And the winner of that division playoff will go on to the national picture. And as far as the relegation, the bottom one team in both of the divisions will go down to Division One for the spring of 2026. And so you definitely want to stay away from the bottom, but only one team from each of those zones will go down. So there's a lot to play for there. You're playing for playoff spots, but you're also playing to stay out of that relegation spot. You don't want to get in that quagmire to go back down to Division One. So it'll be a dogfight, and it should be very entertaining. We're going to try to bring you as much of the action as we can from ASMG. But we'll go into, as a closeout here, we'll see what's going on for the games coming up on the weekend. We start with Zone 1, Georgia Athletic. We'll be hosting Pachuca, Georgia on Saturday at Discovery High School. And, they have a chance to rebound after a great performance in the first week. They started well in the second week, but failed to really do much against Kalonji Per Profile. Possibly the game of the weekend is going to be Georgia Revolution against Kalonji Per Profile. These two teams are going to be the favorites for the division, for this zone, for Zone 1. And Georgia Revolution have defeated Kalonji Per Profile the last two times that they've played them in the regular season. And so which team will show up for Per Profile? Which team will show up for Georgia Revolution? Hard to say. That game will be on the Georgia Revolution YouTube channel. Check it out if you can. And then, of course, on Saturday, this is in the ASMG broadcast, Athletico Beaufort will be hosting Georgia Impact. They're going to be at E.E. Robinson Field there in Gwinnett County instead of George Pierce. George Pierce, I think, have other issues that have forced Athletico to move their home games for the balance of the season to, I believe it's going to be E.E. Robinson for the rest of the season. The main thing is going to be looking to see, can they continue on their fine form? 2 out of 2 so far. Can they make it 3 out of 3? And what would Georgia Impact do? The Georgia Impact, well-coached and professionally run club themselves. Many would say on the same level as the Athletic Beaufort. So it should be a barn burner. You'll see it here on ASMG's YouTube channel. Click subscribe and also click that notification bell so you get notice when we go live on that game as well. So that's Zone 1. We're going to get into Zone 2 to close things out. And LSA Norcross, another game that's going to be on ASMG's YouTube channel. We're going to be hosting Scenic City. This will be our ASMG's first look at Scenic City up close. Team out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And they tied that first week. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can claw themselves back into the winning side for the coming week against LSA Norcross. But LSA Norcross looks like that they are wanting to be contenders as well in a packed zone. And so we'll see what Mochila, Coach Galdamez has in store for those young players at LSA Norcross. They're going to be at home at Meadow Creek in Norcross. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do and see if they can stay with the leaders there. And of course, we talked about Atlanta United starting off a home opener, season opener as well, against North Georgia United, 3 o'clock at Atlanta United training ground there in Marietta. And so don't know what they have to store. This is basically going to be their U16, U18 team for their academy. Many of their players are also playing on the Atlanta United 2s. And so that could tell you that there's quite a lot of talent that's available to them. But how consistent will they be? They've got great coaching there, professional training schedule. So it's going to be formidable no matter which way you look at it. And so North Georgia trying to get themselves into the winning column. Going to have a tall order against Atlanta United this coming Sunday. FC Birmingham looking to rebound. Going to have a tough road themselves against Dalton United. But they are at home again. And we'll have to see if Dalton United's first line can get there. But what will FC Birmingham do? They had a decent start to the season with a draw. Poor game against Portros. I say poor game, but Portros is just that good. And so maybe they can rebound against that and get a result against Dalton United. But Dalton United is going to be looking for points because they want to get into the fray of the zone to playoff battle as well. And of course, to close out the weekend, we got Potros FC, sort of the class of the division right now, a class of the zone against Soccer Saves Lives. And Portos is going to be favored in this game, but Soccer Saves Lives have shown with their frontline players back, a little bit more formidable of a team to deal with. So it should be a good lively game, a game that will be on the Portos FC YouTube channel there, and 7 o'clock on Sunday. So you see the games on tap here, and I think I'd like to encourage all those out there, especially those who know these players and understand that what they're trying to do is get to the next level. So you want to support them, whatever team you support. There's a lot of connection to the local community. We've seen what Leminio, Georgia, have done by changing even their branding to LSA Norcross to better connect with their local community there. They partner up with ASMG to widen their exposure with professional broadcasting. And they really deserve a look and a little bit of your support by going to their games, by viewing their content on social media, their games on YouTube. This is something that costs you most of the time nothing. In contrast to having to go to an MLS game where you're going to shell out a lot of money for parking and tickets and the trouble of being getting in and out of the event and everything. But there's still a compelling competitive advantage in watching the UPSL. It's a great competition. It's nationwide. There's national exposure for these teams. There's also the pathway. A lot of these players outside of what MLS is doing and some of the pro teams, even in USL, this is their only shot at getting to the next level. Many of these players are very, very talented, but they're being overlooked because of the system that we have here in the United States. So it's great that this is a platform for them, and that's why ASMG exists, is to try to bring that to you so you can see what's going on. And you see that Atlanta United has even come back. Despite the fact that they're in the MLS system, they see the value here, and so do a lot of the teams that are staying here. Kalanji Pro Profile, Portos FC. You see a lot of high quality. You see a lot of their players going on to the next level, whether it be in college, domestically here professionally, or overseas in Latin America and Europe, in the Orient. And so there's a lot to see that's compelling, a lot of stories that we're going to bring you at ASMG. It's why we have the Back Pass. It's why we're going to relaunch Center Circle podcast, and we have the Set Pieces interviews that we do during the week, as well as some behind the scenes content that we're going to be providing for you. And so this is all to promote the players and the teams, and also to educate the fans out there. I mean, you guys pick your favorite team if you don't have one already and follow them. We're going to provide a lot more information here on the website. Another good place that you can go to is the actual official website. The UPSL has their own website, upslsoccer.com, and there they have individual stories already that you can go to and check out about who's going to the next level and where they're coming from, what teams they're coming from. In the UPSL, there's when you count up the number of teams that we have, when you include the women, the premier teams, the Division I teams, the youth academy teams, over 800 nationwide. There's no other league that's like that, and we play year round. And so these players are developing on a schedule that attracts professionals. And so this isn't just a summer league like some of the others. These players are in a league that's manageable for sponsors to support, for fans to support, and for players to get exposure. And again, that is why ASMG is doing what we do here, is specifically for that reason. So check it out. Look, particularly you want to subscribe to ASMG's YouTube channel, because you're going to see those announcements and get the content on the live streams that we do, all the podcasts and extra features that we provide. So check it out, and I just wanted to let you know about that. But that'll be it for this week in the UPSL and the ASMG review here in the Back Pass. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and look forward to seeing you next week when we cover week 3, but more importantly, we're going to have the Center Circle podcast back next week, and that will include Larry Weaver and Massimo Ballou and myself, and sort of a roundtable discussion, a little bit more in depth, and which will include highlight reviews as well. So check it out, and get out to the games this weekend. If you can't do that, watch them on YouTube. We're going to have 3 of them here on ASMG, one of them a Division I team with LSA's team against Angelus. And so plenty of football to look at, very affordable for the whole family, a great outing. So check it out. But until then, we'll see you again next week.